Hey everyone, and welcome to my first video from the Mans Esports Series. This is race 2 of round 1, which is a reverse grid endurance, and I'm driving a Ferrari 458 GTE. And this race is pretty crazy. I mean, my performance actually made a headline in the Autosport website alongside all of the Formula 1 news. And so, I mean, I don't know what else I can say apart from you might want to stick around for this, as a lot goes on very quickly and it's quite a cool race. So here we are then on the back row of the grid. We're alongside Jacob Bokert, who actually won the first race up against Lazarus Force 1. And this was going to be no easy task whatsoever, as Bokert actually gets a better start than us. So we're already into last place. There are 15 cars ahead and we're all hurling into turn 1. And now clearly there's a lot of overtaking to be done here, and so you have to be very clever. And I noticed that Bokert went on the outside, so I was determined to do the opposite to him. And so I managed to hold it around the outside, and off the start I've actually gained a couple of positions, which is quite nice. We're up into P13, we were in P16 just a few seconds ago. And now looking up ahead again, there's even more overtakes to make. And the key thing that I was trying to remember here is to not do anything stupid, because it's so easy to crash out in this car. It's unbelievable. The Spectre makes a bit of a mistake in that corner. We're now up into P12. And yeah, so I was just trying to let other people make mistakes, just capitalise off of their wrongdoings as such, so that I don't end up in any adversity, as we are now settling down a little bit in P12 behind Wolf's. Ben Jobson, actually, the guy ahead, driving for AMS. He, funnily enough, I live with him, so we were in a party chat during this, and you'll see later on, after this corner, which was probably the most sketchy corner of the entire race, with kind of a TX3 car just hurling out of nowhere. I mean, my braking wasn't exactly perfect, but it was just like absolutely made a lot worse by getting rear-ended quite horrendously. But yeah, as I was saying though, you will see later on in this race how Wolfs and I actually used our communication to our advantage in order to get through some of the field. It's quite cool actually. But at the moment I'm looking up inside Wolfs' inside into this next chicane, and I was thinking about a move, but I just realised that there's no point in making a move on him yet, because his pace actually is really good at this stage of the race especially. So we're both making progress together now, and I'm just thinking about how best to get through the cluster of cars ahead, because we're still in P12. There's still the majority of the field to go, as you'd pretty much expect, as we're only about a corner in so far. But as we come into Mulsanne corner, the really tricky slow right-hander at the bottom of the Mulsanne straight, you can see that so much just went down. It was quite crazy. We have the Red Bull car of Asics got collected by someone, and Ben made a really good move on the VP driver in front. And when I saw that Ben had got through, I knew that it was just a matter of time until I had to get past this VP driver as well. And so I basically didn't want to do anything into this right-hander, because let's be honest, it's just sketchy. This car actually wheelies through this part of the Le Mans track. But this right-hander up here, I saw an opportunity. And luckily, the opportunity was actually presented to me quite nicely with VP's driver braking a little bit early. And that allowed, frankly, like a really, really nice move around his outside in such a tight corner. Big respect, though, to the driver of the VP car for basically giving me space, because he could have put me in the tyre wall if he wanted to, and he would have gotten a penalty, but he could have ruined my race if he had wanted, but he didn't. As off the left another guy goes off, that's THR's Chirp, I think that was. So he was actually the race leader before this, as Wolfs has made a mistake. I kind of follow him into that mistake actually. I was so just getting used to just following him at this point that any mistake he made I kind of just made as well. But you can see one lap and we're already made up half the positions in all the grid. We're already in P8, so not bad at all as we come from such a tricky last sector. It's so easy to corner cut this chicane specifically. And we're now right on the back of LOR Ramstig, and Wolfs is already going for an overtake on him. He's barely been behind him for that long at all, and he's already nicely through, and I knew that I had to react and get past him as well as we get round his outside, and we actually turn in for the second part nearly get a corner cut, so we have to shuffle the car using the brake back onto the track as such. And that kind of was, I'll be honest, that was probably the worst overtake I pulled off out of the 15 that I did. Just simply because, you know, track limits meant that basically I had to get off that apex before I got a corner cutting penalty myself. And Ramstig, unfortunately, was hurt by that as well, but there were no penalties. It was just a warning that I got for that move. So I guess it's all good in the end. But yeah, so we continue now onto the second chicane of lap 2. And as you can see, Azzy and Kaiser, for their two teams, have collected each other pretty badly. And that is us now up into 5th. And we didn't even have to do anything. So it was happy days, really. When I saw that, that was good, because those two drivers in particular, like, quite difficult to fight with. I know that Kaiser is very experienced in Forza, and he puts up a big fight, and Azzy as well is another very, very experienced driver. So to have them just written off is not too bad at all. As we now skip to the end of lap 2, we're on the back of Wolf's, McQueen and Bull, and this is where a bit of teamwork's going to come through, actually, because this is a tough battle. There's 3 cars. All 3 of the cars are pretty fast ahead. And so to get past all 3 of them is obviously not going to be too easy. As we come into that final chicane, once again, we actually get a bit of a slide on that exit. So we didn't manage to get quite the run that we were shooting for in the, you know, later once we got into our rhythm. But not too bad at this point, as Wolves is now, you know, us two are both clearly just thinking about making that move somehow, as we've got RDE and FRF ahead of us. And it was just about settling in and waiting for them to do something silly. You can actually see as well, McQueen is kind of jittering about. I mean, that's another thing to factor in when battling. I could have sent it on Wolves here, actually, out that inside. But I didn't want to, because, you know, we're just working together at this point. And also, to be perfectly honest, sometimes it's quite scary being the first guy to actually make the moves on these cars as well. So I was quite happy just sat back here just waiting for Ben to do his thing. As we're 3/10 up, so our pace is like okay, I guess, but at the same time, previous laps have been so jumbled up in the first sector that our lap times have been well off like what we do when we're just running on our own. But Ben has a bit of a run here on McQueen, actually, and so I'm going to tuck into the slipstream and wait for these guys to brawl it out into the chicane, as McQueen just, I mean, I'm pretty sure that was a corner cut for him on the inside, and he did actually pick up a half a second penalty. Ben got a half a second penalty on the exit, and then McQueen went and extended on the exit as well. So that was all very, very eventful. But this, though, right here, I actually told Ben to pull to the outside to basically tow me through using his slipstream. And look at that. Right, it is such, I got such a run. It's unbelievable. And I just basically sat behind him, and in the chat, I was just thanking him for his tow, really, because it made my life a lot easier, as he gets a bit of a squirmy exit. Actually, McQueen got a really good exit as well, right on our rear. And this was the point where I saw Bull pulling away slightly in that section of the lap. And I've basically, Wolves as well, agreed that it was basically time to release me and see if we can chase down the top 2. As I get into the braking zone, Mulsanne corner, you can see Ben actually leaves me plenty of room on the outside, and he doesn't take up any room on the exit either, so allowing a nice smooth switch of positions. It was a bit unfortunate, actually, because in the highlights they will often say that that was like a really nice move around the outside of AMS, but to be honest, Ben did, you know, that was orchestrated, that was supposed to happen, that was all part of the plan as such. Skipped on now to lap 4, and we have in fact gained on PMC and FRF up in the lead. You can see that FRF actually has a massive penalty already, and so at this point in the race I just saw PMC as the target. I didn't even consider FRF, because I could be 4.5 seconds basically off him and still beat him. So like, that's the thing, when you're running with the Forza race regulation rules, which forces corner cutting in the game, you just can't afford to cut at all, as Bull actually breaks a bit early. And so I go for the gap up the inside, and on the exit, Bull just, well, I mean, leaves no room, really. So we continue on the exit of that chicane, and we continue status quo. But I'll be honest, that was very forceful racing. but, you know, fair enough, I guess. It is what it is, as we now head up to Mans corner. And to be honest, I thought that defense was a bit harsh, and when I went into this braking zone, I braked very aggressively to try and catch up to Bull, and in the process I actually gave him a nudge, as if to say, like, you know, watch out, man, that's, you know, that was aggressive, to say the least. But we continue, and luckily though, I know that Bull is actually a very fast driver, and so in some ways I was quite happy even to just be sat here as we try and collectively gain on Addy in the lead. But there's still a 1 second gap, and it has opened out slightly actually as a result of our battling, and so I'm all over the back of Bull. I do actually decide that I want to get by as we head into such a tricky part of the track. Actually, this right-hander here is very important for your lap actually. Just coast through and get that good exit so you can run into the Porsche curves carrying as much speed as you possibly can. We've both actually done a pretty decent job with it there as we come up to the Porsche curves. Through this section that we're about to come into, just look at how on edge the car is. You really had to back it down in the race, like under race pace, to ensure that the car didn't do anything silly. So we get into fourth gear, turn in, and then you kind of have to play with the throttle through here. You have to be really patient in this left-hander, especially because otherwise that happens. What happened to Bull? You go out wide, and then the curb really plays with your car, and then it's even just escalates from there. We come to the exit, and this outside curve here, maybe Bull will run into it. He did touch it, but that, I mean, if you've seen on my Twitter, that can really kill you actually. I'll include a clip of that right here so you can see just the potential of that curve, what it can do to you as the PMC driver. Has actually not mucked up as bad as I thought, but Bull has, as now we've managed to gain a run on him on the exit of that final corner. And it's game on really into this first corner. Who will brake first? And actually Bull just conceded that corner really. Kind of didn't fight that as much as I expected him to. Maybe he realised that he had the penalties, and so it was completely pointless for him to fight with me at that point of the race, as we now just have one target left. It's only been just over 4 laps, so we're on our 5th lap now. We've just begun, and we're already into P2, having been in P16 going into the first corner. So the run has been absolutely awesome. I'm not going to lie, it was probably one of my favourite races I've actually been part of, with all the moves, all the overtaking, and all the strategy and dynamics that come with it. It was genuinely good fun as Bull into the Mulsanne corner. It's as if he wants to tell me that what I did to him that last lap when I went into his rear on Mulsanne, it's as if he's trying to tell me that wasn't on either, which is fair enough. But that did lose us a little bit of time to the PMC driver as we now come through the first chicane. Lap 6, we skipped on quite a bit actually. We've still got Bull on our rear. Addy is now right in our sights. He's only about half a second ahead. So we drop into 3rd gear, follow this curve round, and then it's up to 4th with this right-hander. But look at Addy, he's out into the grass, and that ruins his run as we are now going to go for a little move into Tetra Rouge. Such a tricky corner, that outside curve as well can really ruin your race, as Addy managed to get quite a smooth little switchback on us there. I mean, I think our run was really compromised by the fact that I was entering the corner from such a shallow line. But regardless, it was a really, really good switchback there for the PMC driver to manage to get me back. But I'm actually using the slipstream here, and I'm going to try and make a move into this first corner on the brakes, down into 4th, and then 3rd. But Addy has managed to hold it around the outside. He's thrown his car around the outside trying to keep hold of this position. He's fighting, and he's fighting very, very hard indeed. As I've now exiting the chicane, and I'm trying to get another run on him. He is kind of defending, but at the same time, I don't think he defended enough. Like, if he had put his car way in the way on the inside, it would have made my life a lot more difficult. But we've actually managed to pull ahead of him completely before the second chicane, as we now get on the brakes, and Addy is somehow trying to hold it around our outside, but that time a little bit too ambitious, as he nearly tags our rear end as well, so it was so close. But that is move done for the lead in 6 laps. So what a run we've had over the last 6 laps. As we now skip on to lap 8, we've pulled a little bit of a gap to Bull in those about lap and a half that I have skipped out. But it's now time to pit. So I just didn't want to take any risks on the pit entry here. You can see I actually baby it like a lot. Nicely on the brakes, really slowly curve. I even brake for the entry. You can definitely take this bit flat out, but I just wanted to make sure that I didn't do anything stupid. And so nicely on the brakes, you can see Bull actually gained a second on me in that pit entry, but it is what it is. I just wanted to get through safely as we now exit the pits. We're in P4. You can see Bokit has not pitted yet, but he did, and he was behind us, and basically that was kind of it. And this here is the most sketchy moment I had. Look at how close I got to cutting the corner, but still no corner cuts or anything. And to be honest, that was really that. Once I was in the lead, it was smooth running from there on in. And I really, in the last 5 laps especially, really put the hammer down and pulled out quite a big lap, quite a big lead. And you can see that down in the bottom left of the gap to Bull. But all in all, I mean, what a race. It was super, super fun. And there was a lot of new drivers to race up against as well, which is great. And new esport organisations getting involved. So it's happy days. And the broadcast was really entertaining to watch as well. So happy days. And yeah, I mean, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I do seriously appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed. And I'll definitely be catching you soon for more. I mean, I actually got I will have a Forza RC video from the LAN coming out that I have still being edited, and we'll go from there and see what else. But aside from that, I'll be making tips and all of that kind of stuff. I'll be streaming over on Twitch, and happy days. And I know I've said that phrase a lot, by the way, but it's my new favourite phrase. What can I say? As we have now concluded. But thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.